Hello YouTube, this is Chris Rhodes, and today I'm going to be doing kind of a random video, I guess. And what it's going to be is of an application that I've been coding using the Java language, which what it does is it takes Google Earth KML files, which is an XML format, which will it stores marker information, and I have marker information for several routes and everything in the for the New Haven line. And what it does is it converts these into MSTS compatible marker files from these. And probably most of you are familiar with a utility which already does that, called Route Writer. However, what Route Writer does not have support for is just being able to draw lines, which Google Earth allows. What you need to do with Route Writer is you have to actually place these thumbtacks like everywhere, like just following the track, and to me that just was annoying. To be honest, I wasn't gonna do that for 80 miles of track. That would take me hours as opposed to the 20 minutes that it took me to draw these lines out. So I already have one major function of the program already complete. This is my source code. And the first major version of it is it allows you to create a new marker file, and it's got just a file picker and everything. And what you do is it will create a new arbitrary MSTS marker file from a Google Earth KML file. I plan to have two more functionalities, however, added into this software. One would be to for the New Haven line especially, I have a marker file. And what I have to do is I can't just create a new marker file because I'm going to lose all the markers which I had originally. So I want to create another feature where it will just add the new markers at the end of a marker file. That's what I'm going to be coding in this video. And then the third function I'll add into this program is the ability to take a marker file and convert it back into the Google Earth format. So let's say you have like the marker file for some route somewhere. You can reverse engineer it and add it into your Google Earth, and it will be placed out for you in order for you to look at it. So I'm just gonna dive into the code here, really. And first, what I want to do is I want to take my button, append an existing marker file, and I want to enable it. That way, we can start to mess around with this stuff. So, yeah, please excuse my vulgar debugging lines. I did not realize I was going to be there. I was probably going to, I'll probably have to blur that out. But, basically, I'll be able to recycle a good deal of my code from the other two. So the first thing I want to do is I have different classes for each function that the program performs. So I have 3 classes that I've already pre-made, just with basic information. And my right marker class is currently finished. And so what I'm going to do is I want to create an append marker class. And the first method would be to open marker. And system.out.print line. I'm probably screwing up capitals here. What this does is it will print a line to the console. So, class successfully called. So right now I'm just going to be debugging the button and making sure that I can get my button to work. And right here is the code for my button. And what I want to do is I want to call the append marker class, but more specifically the open file method, open marker method within the class. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do append mkr dot open file. Open marker. Messed that one up. Huh. Getting some kind of an error here. That is weird. Oh, my button is named the same thing as the class. So I have to create an object. So I just gotta make an object out of it because it was getting confused with the button that I had before. Alright, well, that was a bit of an adventure just to get this working. So I'm gonna just test it, and there, it just told me in the console that it works. So, yep. I keep pressing the button, and we'll keep doing that. So now what I want to do is, because we need to get the marker file. So I just want to have it. I want to create an open using the I forget what they're called, but it's a built-in Java library. All right. So. Essentially, what it's going to do is it's going to create the file chooser window, and this window will allow you to select the file. So I have to change everything over. I want it to be a MSTS marker file with the prefix, with the suffix or whatever the file extension being MKR, and a lot of this is just mumbo jumbo, which makes sure that you don't select crap that it can't open. So that would allow me to press open, but it's not going to do anything because I haven't told it what to do with the file yet. So great success. Now, if the result is the approved option, alright, so alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change this. If the result is not approved, what it's going to do is it's going to give me it's going to put a message, it's going to show a message dialog which says error selecting file. It's a very just generic error message, and then it's going to go on to perform the rest of these functions. So alright, so if you cancel out of it, error selecting file, and if I select something, well actually it's not going to let me select something, so yeah. Actually, so if that's the only case you did not select a file, yeah, I don't. So, in the event that you do select a file that is correct, what it's going to then do is it's going to give you another window. So what I want to do is I want to create a new string variable. String is text. String marker file marker file focus is equal to this. So what it's going to do is it's going to when you select the file, it's going to take the file and it's going to store it in this variable, in this file variable. And then what it's going to do is it's going to this right here is going to extract the location. And here I'll demonstrate this out for you, and then I'm going to have it just write to the console. I'm just going to have it write the file path out to the console, so you can see what I mean. The one thing about all this stuff is it's very procedural. It's only going to do what you tell it to do, and it was never going to do something that you don't tell it to do. So here, if I just select this marker file, what it's going to do is that was what was stored to the variable, the location. And so now that I have that stored, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to open up another instance of the file chooser. And this second instance of the file chooser is going to be in order to select the KML file that will be I don't need this line because I already have it. And this right here is going to be Google Earth KML file. And change this to KML. And result 1. There, I had to change a few things for logistics purposes. File selected file 2 equals selected file 2 dot get absolute path. And this will be the KML file focus. And the system out print line will be, then I'll have it print KML file focus. So I select my marker file, then I select my KML file, and it prints those two out successfully. So now this method is done. What it does is it opens up the files that are necessary, and that's all that I want this method to do. It's just for opening files. Then what it's going to do is it's going to take the two paths which it got, and it's going to pass those to another method, which is going to actually open the files and read them. Now, actually no, I want to create a third method actually, which is going to create the save paths, like or actually, no, I actually don't need a save path. I completely apologize. I don't need a save path, because the save path will be the marker file that you selected already. It'll just be adding into the end of that. So, I apologize for hopping around in circles there for a moment. But, so void, I'm going to have this be the actual, well actually I can't name it append marker, because what that'll do is that'll turn this into the constructor, which is a fancy thing that happens when I call this file and everything. It's just bad business to do it that particular way. So I'm just gonna have it be process points, or maybe just have it be write file, and it's going to, and I can make this thing take two variables. So I want it to take the string KML path and the string marker path. Now string. So at the end right here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write a quick line that says write file and KML file focus, comma, marker file focus. So now what it's going to do is I'll just have another thing print to the console here for the sake of showing you guys. This method has been called. So that will only call if I feed this the right information. It will spit that out. So append existing marker. I got my, yeah, this method has been called. Alright, so now down into the real nitty-gritty. This is going to be serious code at this point. So what it's going to be doing is, this is going to be a lot of recycled code here, is the first course of business is, as soon as it starts writing to the marker file, it's going to completely clear the marker file. I do not want that. I want to write what's currently in the marker file back to it. So the first step of this method, is that it's going to scan the entire marker file and take that information and immediately write it back into there. So here we go. A lot of this is just mumbo jumbo. I probably shouldn't explain it because it's just going to confuse you guys for the most part. And this right here is important. Try catch block. Because I'm dealing with a file, let's say that file doesn't actually exist. Well, that's going to cause a big problem if the computer's trying to read a file which does not exist. Oh, wait, here we go. Exception E, and I'm not going to handle that. So if the file doesn't exist, it's going to cause a big problem because the computer's going to keep trying to read it, but it doesn't exist, and it's going to cause the application to crash, and that's bad business. So instead, we put it in a try block, and if the computer's going to try to do it, and if it can't do it, then it's just not going to. It's going to stop. It's going to skip over it because it knows that that it's just going to fail. So what this will do is it's going to read. Now what I want this to do is I don't want it to read the KML path, I want it to read the marker path. And so then the next important thing would be the while loop. What this is going to do is it's going to keep performing an operation continuously. So in this particular loop, while the line is not empty, what it's going to do is a lot of it's just going to do it's going to keep doing whatever I tell it to do. So and it's just going to keep it will keep doing is it'll loop through reading the whole file, and it's going to put all the lines that exist in the file into the memory and commit them to the memory, so I can then write them right back in. And finally finish off the loop. Alright, so that's just gonna what that's gonna do is that's gonna loop through the file. And so every time it loops, I want it to write a line to the file. So what I'm gonna have to do is now I'm going to have to create another so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a whole nother pretty much an identical thing to this, to what I just did a moment ago, which does the exact opposite. And what this is going to do is so this is called the buffered writer, and what a buffered writer will do is it will write the code the same way that the buffered reader read the code. They both perform complementary functions. And so in this while loop, because the while loop is what the program does, and whenever I want to write a line to the file, it's bw write. So what I want to do is I want to write to the file exactly what already existed in the file, which is stored in the string line. So what it will do is it will write the line, and then at the end it will close, which basically means it will save it, because this is just writing it, but then it finally needs to save it at the end, and then it will be all done. And I think I actually also need to save the, even when you read, you have to save, because it just tells the computer that the program is done using that particular file, which I'm not exactly sure if I actually do at the end of that particular whole thing. Alright, yeah, so I don't know why I have an integer for x, but alright, so basically I just have to see how this is going to work, and this, actually I want to add this code in that I already made, because what this is going to do is it's just going to create the file for me if it doesn't exist, because in this case it's not going to exist, because I don't want it to save to the same thing, because I want to compare it to make sure it's not screwing up massively. So I'm just going to have it add test to the end of the file, just so I can identify between what is actually being written and what isn't. So I think this is actually worthy of an actual test at this point. So I'm going to append an existing marker file. The marker file I'm going to be choosing is danbury.mkr with Danbury branch, and I think it did the process out for me, but I have to double check that. And just, so where'd it go? Alright, so here's the test file. And yeah, this is exactly why it didn't put everything out onto a new line, which is a problem. So time to rehash this, and so yeah, basically back to the drawing board, because what it did is it didn't differentiate the lines, and so yeah, I gotta put this in. Then create a new line, save. Alright, so now let's see if it actually did anything. Alright, so now it made a perfect copy of the existing file. And just compare it with the with what was the existing file. They're both identical. So now what I want to do is I want to start to read from the KML file to add it in. So before I get confused, I'm gonna write myself a little note, and I'm going to completely recycle the code that I've already made in order to perform this function here. And that code is this. If line contains, hang on, I guess. So this right here is the code that reads marker files, and there's going to be a lot of errors now that are because of it, because I haven't added in any of those variables yet into the code in this class. So what I need to do is I need to take my string variable, add that in. So that got rid of a few errors. And these are called array variables. And what they are is it allows me to store multiple values. So I need to add in my array variables as well. And that solved that issue. So now this code is legit. And it's going to, well, what it will do is it will populate the line with code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this, the Waterbury branch, which is what I want to do next. I want to save that as a KML file to the documents for when we start doing testing. And what this will do is it's going to, well, just trying to think to myself here, but well, apparently, this code right here from end to end it's gonna perfectly read the KML file from the KML's format. I'm not gonna go into a lot of explaining this because I spent 6 hours studying the format of a KML file just so I could create this code, and it'll probably take me that long just to explain it. So now what I want to do is what we'll do is there's entries in it, and it will break apart the entries and it will add them to all this. It's just bad, but it's just difficult to explain. I'm probably just gonna end up confusing people. But so what I want to do is it just adds them into lists, because when you create the what the array will look like is it's gonna look like there's like the different points, and it just stores them line after line after line, and I can take those lines and I can print them out to the screen in order to just to populate them, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. So now what I want to do is I want to steal my the code that writes it. Now I already have a buffered writer class, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and copy that. And actually, I can't put this into the code up here. I gotta put it outside of this while loop, because then what it's gonna do is it's gonna keep writing and it's gonna fill up my file. So I have to put it just outside here before this, and what it will do is it will write the new markers in. And right before it, I want to actually have it write out I want to just have it write out something to the user. Following points added from and then I'm just going to grab the file name. Just take that, copy it. Oh wait, crap. And then BW new line. So right here, this is a fair bit of code, and it should in theory work, hopefully, I pray. So let's append an existing marker file, and that marker file is danbury.marker. And our KML file is Waterbury branch. And I think it worked, but we'll have to see for sure. Alright, reload it, and alright, so it didn't add anything. For whatever reason, it didn't add anything. That's a problem. That's a big problem. Oh, wait, forgot about that. So, there's some error that I guess is coming up. Gotta make sure it's... Not sure what exactly the error is in particular. It could just be that yeah, I think the program's not successfully reading the marker file. The marker file, the KML file. Oh, I see. I just saw the issue, actually. I made a big mistake. The, well, the reader is reading from, is still reading from the marker file, and I never switched it to read from the KML file. So, I gotta change the buffered reader. To read from, yeah, I'm going to do is I'm going to create a whole new file reader. And, so yeah, that's actually disappointing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually segregate these out into their separate components. So this writes it. I'm going to have a whole nother while loop take care of the so yeah, sorry about that, running you guys in circles again. Just kind of getting too many concurrent operations going on and getting a little confused myself. Alright, so this code's now been reinstated, and what it will do is it will successfully read the Alright, so I'm going to close out this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a whole new file. And then I'm going to create a whole new file input stream. So what that's going to do is it's going to create a whole new buffered reader for this to utilize, and now the code should in theory work. So we're going to append an existing marker file. That marker file is going to be ganberry.marker. And it's going to be waterburybranch.kml. And there we go. So let's see what the damage is. Well, it identified these, but I'm not sure if it actually wrote them to the file. Ah, there we go. It added them all in. So there we go. That would be a whole new function that has been added to the program. So I'm just going to do a bit of housekeeping. We no longer need to have test here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a message that informs the user of the successful completion of the operation. Oh, excuse me. So Right here, the message is going to be, well, actually, I think I already have the message. Alright. So now, run this again. Whoops. Oh, crap. Oh, that caused an error. Marker order. Successfully added 562 points. Alright. So, that right there was me adding a whole new function to my little Java utility that I'm working on in about 45 minutes. So, this is a pretty long video. I'll let you guys go. Until later, it's Curse Heroes.